G'day guys, BJ Lyons here from 618 Barbell, and I've had a request from some of my online coaching clients to start going through a little bit of mobility and stretching prior to working out, or for loosening up those tight joints and stuff, just to get into some more effective training. Before I get stuck into this video, it comes with the caveat of, if you're stiff and tight, yes, we should be working on that. Yes, we should be moving our joints. We should be stretching to make sure our muscles are supple and stuff like that. But if you're clutching at straws to why my legs sore all the time, I'm not stretching enough, but you haven't covered the major bases of getting enough sleep and getting enough food, it doesn't matter what you do, you're always going to be sore. Powerlifting and strength training by nature is putting our body through the ringer. So pulling up sore after sessions is absolutely to be expected. But if we're constantly sore or constantly niggled or constantly tired, there is no point rolling around on the floor and doing fancy stretches or movements if your nutrition and recovery is not covered. All right. I just wanted to touch base on that first because it's super, super important. All right. Let's get stuck into the rest of the video and go from there. Before we go into any of the drills, this is just me rolling out my back, trying to get my lats a little bit looser and my spine moving. But usually when I ask people, what are you doing for your mobility once they've come to me with a problem, the answer is generally nothing. And whilst this is very, very basic and bare bones, something is always going to be better than nothing, okay? So think of this as our first step. If we've been doing nothing before, this is what we're going to start on. We'll go through this session for a few weeks, a couple times a week, and then we'll start to introduce some more intense or more challenging drills for you. All right, movement number one. This is called cat camel. This is a yoga stretch. Basically, we're trying to floss the spine right up from the base of the skull down to the tailbone. We're trying to get as much movement through there as we can. You'll see I'm reaching my shoulder blades up high to the roof and then pushing my chest down and arching my lower back and pulling my tailbone high. Quick tip for these: when we're drilling the upper back up to the ceiling, try to flare your scapular or shoulder blades as far away from your ribs as possible. And when we're pulling the chest down to the ground, try to rotate the shoulder blades in and pull them in tight to the lats. Okay, so the next one, movement two, super, super simple. We are going to sit in the bottom of a squat position. Have your hands in this praying position or fists together, whatever, with your elbows on the inside of your knees. Make sure we've got weight across the whole foot, including the heel. When we have those elbows in between the knees, I want you to use them to drive the knees out wide to stretch the groin. It's also very important in this position to sit up with a nice tall posture and stretch that thoracic spine. You'll see here, I also like to lean back and round my back a little bit just to get a little bit of a different stretch through the hip flexors. If we shift our weight to the side and let the heel come off the ground and put our weight through the elbow across the top of the knee, we should get a nice soleus stretch as well. The third movement is very, very simple. We're going to sit on our knees with our legs together. Try to keep your toes and your heels together as well and push the front of your ankles flat into the ground. You see from this front view, I'm postured up nice and tall. My shoulders are pulled back and down. My chest is pushed forwards and I'm just moving my neck here to get a bit of a stretch in. Again, if you keep your feet together, so the toes and the heels touching, and sit on your heels, it should force your ankles to straighten up, and that should give you a nice stretch across the anterior tibialis, which is down the front of the shin. Very, very important for keeping those knees and ankles happy. Now we're going to just sit on the ground with the soles of our feet together, knees out wide. Again, we're using our elbows to push our knees, our legs down hard so we can stretch that groin, and playing with some postural positions here just to get the stretch out of my spine and just different positions in the glutes and hips. All right, this is probably my favorite. I call this the reverse lunge hip flexor stretch. We're going to start by lunging backwards and then posturing our torso tall. We should get a little bit of tightness anywhere between the rib cage and the bottom of the knee in that position. Then we follow it down to the ground to hold that stretch. Very important to stay upright and drive the hips forwards whilst keeping the shoulders stacked on top. We want to squeeze our glute to pull our pelvis underneath us. That's going to stretch our hips a little bit deeper. Once we get comfortable in this position, we can rotate the torso away from the knee that's on the ground, start stretching higher up through the abdominals. Remember, your hip flexor group is a group of muscles I'm not going to run through them all now, but basically if you think they connect pretty high up the spine near the bottom of the ribs and then all the way down to the kneecap, all of these are connected. So if you have any tightness in any position across the front from the knee to the rib here, you're doing the right job. Give it some more time, that should loosen up, and then you should be able to dig around and find some other tight spots. Finally, the last one, leaning forwards with your knees slightly bent, chuck your hands under your toes and hold on, and then just start lifting your hips, trying to straighten your legs out and stretch those hamstrings. Be very, very careful you don't lean too far forwards, pin your hands on the ground underneath your feet and fall forwards and break your nose. Been there, almost done that, not fun. Party on, guys.